But you get what I'm saying about like the whole, if you, when you get nervous about something, like you're psyching yourself out, right? You're like, oh, people are going to laugh at me if I stutter, or people are going to do this thing. If you got to do something, a public speaking or whatever. I avoided it at all costs in college. I totally got away with not taking speech because of that, because I was so just didn't want to get up and talk about something I don't know anything about, right? But even that, of course you would know what you're talking about because you would have studied and done the research. You know what I mean? But you play that game in your head and then your body responds in a certain way. So it's pretty crazy when you think about it, how the power that we have with our mind to control and kind of, in a good way and a bad way, our bodies. We can take a situation that is not inherently like, dangerous, isn't like baseball. There's no pressure in baseball. Pressure is made up. Yeah, it means something to you, of course. But the pressure that you feel in that moment is totally put on you by you. But we don't realize that. Right? So this is the way I like to describe it. You get guys in the big leagues, or anybody for that matter, even guys maybe on your team, and this is probably you at times, where in the pressure situations, you are performing well, or there's somebody that that just comes in clutch. They're just a clutch guy. You want them up when the game's on the line. They don't experience pressure the same way as everyone else. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Nobody performs that well under pressure, because when you're really truly under pressure, there's a lot of things that are going on in your body. You're gonna get tense and you're gonna get tight and your body's ready for fight or flight. It needs to survive. It's either I'm out of here or I gotta fight. So it's getting ready for something, right? But we don't really perform. There's John. We don't really perform best in that situation when our body's in that state. So we need to find a way to be able to put our body in the best, most optimal state, even in those times of pressure. That makes sense?
Yep.
And therefore, from your perspective, the pressure is less. There's guys, in baseball, MLB, that are notoriously known for being clutch, and there's some guys that are just notoriously known for not being clutch. And maybe some of the differences is just how they mentally and physically prepare for that moment, and then part of that is experience too. The more that you play, the more you get to be in those situations, the more that you get to take your past experience, your past success, and use that as confidence, which we're going to talk a little bit about confidence too, into that moment to get the job done. And even if it doesn't work out, again, your odds of success are still the same, whether it's the first inning, nobody on, nobody out, or you're in the bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, down 2 strikes on you. The odds of you succeeding are still on the lower side as a hitter. And we kind of just have to understand that if you strike out in the first inning or if you strike out in the ninth inning, it's just a strikeout, right? You just ran out of time in the game. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to back up. I'm going to do a little bit of the 3-step release routine. So basically, number one really is recognize. Okay, you have to have the awareness of yourself enough to know when you are getting out of control. So if you have read the book Heads Up Baseball, it talks about the traffic light system. So it's a green light, yellow light, red light. Okay, you guys, when you are going, can you think of the times when the game was just easy for you? Where like everything's coming together, you're crushing the ball, you're throwing the ball, you're fielding the ball, you're having fun, everything's just clicking. Have we all experienced that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Aiden,
Yep.
Sean. Yeah, we've all been there. But the thing is, it's so hard for us to really, how do we get back there? Right? Isn't that, would you agree that that's kind of a tough thing to do?
Yep.
Yep.
How do we get back there? So if essentially what I'm trying to do here is to teach you, and these are things that I did not know, man. This is all stuff that I learned after, and I wish I knew. And so that's why I'm here, is to teach it to you, because I feel you have an opportunity still. Well, on baseball, so that's pretty cool. So anyways, so the first step is recognizing. Okay, so when you guys, like I said, when everything's going good and everything's clicking, you're in a green light. There's nothing for you to, not much for you to think about or do. You just do. You do. Okay. Then yellow light. So a yellow light in real life, if you're coming up on a stoplight, yellow, what are you going to do? Slow down. Okay. Right. And so in a game, the equivalent of that is when you start to get a little frustrated. Okay, maybe there's a bad call by the umpire. Maybe you take a bad swing. Maybe you had a bad first at bat of the game. You're not full meltdown mode, but you're not happy about it. Okay, so you might be in a yellow light. Okay, this could also translate to being a little overly excited as well. If you feel yourself, you're just kind of, opening day, we might be in yellows, maybe in a yellow light. So we need to kind of calm things back down. Okay, now to red light, what do you do in real life? You got to stop. If you push through a red light, if you were to drive through a red light in real life, you're going to be, it's pretty dangerous for yourself and for those on the road, right? And you may get away with it every now and then, but eventually something bad is going to happen. Okay, obviously not as serious in baseball, but pushing through a red light, if you are out of control, full meltdown mode, full like negativity, I suck, I can't do this. Maybe you're like me, you're slamming stuff, you're throwing stuff. Not everybody's like that, but that was me. Okay? Then you're in a red light. If you push through, things are not going to be so pretty. Obviously, nobody's life is going to get lost, but so understanding, step one is really to understand and recognize when you are in those lights. Okay. So for what I have set up is for the yellow and a red. Okay. So a yellow light, we're going to initiate a 3-step. So it's very simple. I've made posts about this on Instagram. Andre, you've seen, right, where you've got the Evan Longoria doing the breathing thing. Who was the other guy? Tampa Bay guy. I can't remember his name. Who was that post that I did?
Brett Phillips.
Was it Phillips? Was the Rays? I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and then then there was another one. So there's clips and pictures, of guys working it, and of course I don't know exactly what they are doing in particular, but it's a pretty common system that players use, that mental performance and mental skills coaches use to get their players dialed back in. And so understanding, again, like the mind and body connection, these 3 steps kind of highlight those 3 things to get you primed, focused, and ready to go. So the first one is a focal point. Okay. And often is what you'll see these guys on the bat. Right. So they're finding that spot somewhere on their bat to really kind of, the way I like to describe it is when you're kind of out of control, a little frustrated, your mind is kind of all over. Okay. So it's kind of loud. Taking your focus to a small little speck. I mean, it can be a piece of the grain on your bat, if it's wood, or a letter on your metal bat, or whatever it is, a little chipped mark. Whatever it is, you need to hyper focus on that one little spot. And what that does is it kind of narrows your focus, of course, focal point, narrows your focus and kind of brings some stillness to your mind. Okay, now we're in a good position to move on from there. So when we get our focal point, step 2 is a big deep breath. Now, Caden, I know you know this. John, I think we might have talked about this a little bit. I don't know, Andre, have we talked about this before?
I think a bit, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, right? And I post some stuff on Instagram. So I know Sterling, I don't know, we just got started, only a few lessons, but I haven't quite gotten too deep in on it. But But yeah, so you want to take a big deep breath. So the big deep breath is going to help you relax. Okay. And then the other part of this part 2 has 2 parts, is the body language. Having big body language, pulling the shoulders back, puffing your chest out, nose up. Okay. And the body language part is huge. And this is going to come in later. We'll move through a little bit quicker. Is that the body language is actually proven. There's a really cool TED Talks where there's social psychologist, I forget her name at the moment, but she basically did her research on power poses. So it's like how you actually hold your body can actually have effect on your hormone levels. So for us, we can, if we were to stand, Superman pose, where you kind of like this, chest back, hands up. This is actually considered a power pose. And our testosterone levels actually go up if you hold this position for 2 minutes. Testosterone levels increase and cortisol, which is a stress hormone, decreases. So stress goes down, testosterone goes up, and testosterone is what we need for performance. Okay? So we got the deep breath to relax us, our focal point to quiet the mind, narrow our focus. We got the big deep breath to relax us, and then we got the big body language to help boost testosterone and lower cortisol, working hand in hand. Okay. Then the third and final step is the verbal cue. Now the verbal cue can be anything that, and this is where again it's up to you, experimentation. If it's BP, if it's practice, maybe it's something more, it could even be a mechanical feel. If you're getting under balls too much and you need to think, okay, think low line drive, whatever. In a game, it could be something more competitive, or like maybe you need to remind yourself of your mentality. So it would depend on context, what's going on. Are you being too passive? Maybe it's a mentality cue. Maybe it's like attack fastballs, right? Hunt something up. I got this. Like, I'm going to crush this dude. Like, whatever it is really kind of up to you to play around with it, right? But that's the system. That's the simple system. You can call time. You can do this even when you get good at it. You can do it in a pretty quick amount of time. So, for example, if you're in the box, okay, so boom, boom, pitch, strike, ball, whatever. I can step out, fix my gloves, okay, pick up my coach, pick up my sign, get in, the focal point, big deep breath, big body language, verbal, do business, right there. So you can actually do this every single time, okay? To take it one step further, you can throw in an additional physical action to initiate. So Aaron Judge reportedly does this where if he's feeling himself in a red light situation, that he will actually bend down, grab dirt, and squeeze the dirt. So he uses it as an association to take negative energy, focus it into the dirt, and throw it away. And then he runs his focal, deep breath, body language, and verbal. Do business, right? And get back in there. And so basically that's just a simple routine that you're going to see guys do. It's taught by almost all the mental skills coaches in the big leagues. And again, it's just just like anything, it's a skill that you can work on. It's not just something, it's just a magic pill. It is definitely something that you need to work on, building the awareness around it so that you know when you are in a yellow and a red, and then be able to implement it. And the key is, especially with that deep breath, especially with all the kids I work with, where we don't get too deep into this because obviously they come to me to hit, to get hitting lessons. But this is a huge element, is that when they are frustrated, taking that deep breath is really difficult. And that's part of it. And they talk about this in Heads Up Baseball, is when you're in those situations and you are stressed, your body doesn't know the difference. Your body doesn't know that you're in a it's a damn baseball game. Your body thinks, because your mind is going crazy, your body thinks that you're in like you're in potential harm's way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just going crazy. Oh, I'm gonna strike out. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh no, oh my God, I might not make the team. Oh, I might not play next game. Your body's stressing, dude. Your body's like fight or flight. What's going on? It's like your body's incredibly intelligent, but it also it can't see. It doesn't, it's kind of blind is how I like to describe it. So it's like we have to pay attention to the messages that we're sending to our body. And that's part of this whole system. To be able to step back, narrow your focus, calm the mind, calm the body with the breath. And if you can take a big, deep breath in a time of pressure, or quote unquote pressure, body will surrender. Your body will say, oh, okay, we're okay here. Everybody's going to be just fine. Let's relax. And then you allow your body to do that. Does that make sense? You guys got any questions? What do you think? Kind of cool?
Great.
Cool.
I know.
Cool. Makes sense. Is this new? I know, Caden, we've kind of talked about it, but maybe not quite in as much depth. What do you think, Caden?
Oh, yeah, we've gone over this a bunch of times over the past.
Whatever. I've been working with you for 2 years. So, okay. John, what do you think?
I'm like aware of it to a certain extent, but like I feel like I don't put like enough emphasis on it because like it's such a little thing, but like it's just one of those things that's got to get done in order to kind of be better.
Absolutely. I mean, and what about Sterling? What about you? I don't know. This is pretty new for you.
Yeah, I actually did like a few of these things before, but I never really knew like the benefits. So now I'm gonna do it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's specifically put together for you to, like I said, you're touching on the body language. You're touching on your hormone levels. It actually changes your hormone levels. Bringing that focus in, the deep breath is huge. Because one of the key components, almost the main message of the Heads Up Baseball book, which I think Andre, you maybe have read that or you're on it.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't, I would highly encourage you look that up. You can get an audiobook of it, or you can obviously do the hard copy. But Heads Up Baseball is that in order to control our performance, right, on a daily basis, that we need to be in control of ourselves. And so the focus, if you can make yourself do this routine, take a deep breath in the time where you are actually feeling stressed, you are in control now. Now you have the best possibility for success. It's not a magic pill, but it's going to give you the best chance for success. Because when we're in slumps, we're struggling, we're feeling tons of pressure, we're not doing these things. You can all agree, you've all had enough experience to think back when you're going bad, things are not pretty. You're rushing, you're swinging at lots of pitches, you're swinging at everything, or you're swinging at nothing. You don't trust yourself. You're worried about your results rather than the process, right? And then guess what? When things are going good, easy peasy. You don't even know what the heck's going on. You're relaxed. You're having fun. You're loose. You're actually taking pitches that are close for balls, and then you're swinging at good pitches, and you're getting hits, and you're happy. These things help you get back there. This system will help you get back there when you are in those low points, because the low points are coming for everybody. They're coming for you, Andre. They're coming for you, Sterling, you, Caden, and you, John. Those low points are coming for all of us. I didn't have the skills and the tools to minimize the damage that was done. I would hit 330 for like a month. And then the next month I'd hit like 170. And I end up like, 280, 270, 260 or something like that. Like it was minimized. It's about minimizing that damage and learning to just play the game. Play the game for your team. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, Andre, what are the 3 steps of the release routine?
Jeez, you put me on the spot, eh?
Bam. Yeah, eh?
All right.
That's
Focal
right, guys. Canada. We have
Focal
Canada in the
point.
house.
Yes, sir. So yeah, focal point. Focus your mind on one specific thing, and then deep breath and body language. And then the third one is say something to yourself that is positive, that is process based.
Atta baby.
Sure.
Sterling, you repeat that? I know it's easier. He just said it, but repeat it.
Yeah, so focal point, big deep breath, body language, and the verbal cue.
Exactly. So what would be, Sterling, what's an example of maybe a good verbal cue for you?
I got this, or I can do this.
Okay, cool. Caden, let's see. Caden, what's a good idea for a physical action when you're in a red light?
I'd say like for me, I dig in like to the dirt, like kind of how a judge like crumples the dirt in his hands. I do it with my cleat instead.
Tapping your spikes, you mean?
Yeah, like just kind of like scraping the ground a little bit.
There you go. John, let's see. What do I got for John? John, what's a good verbal for you that's relevant for you that comes to mind based on your struggles and all that stuff?
I don't. It's like, for me, it's like to not try and do too much, because I just remember like one time I was in an A's game and Matt Chapman hit a walk-off home run, and what he said after the game was he wasn't trying to do too much. So I like that a lot. Just to like get a good barrel on it.
And that's good. That's a good one, because the thing that I notice when I watch and listen to all these clips of big leaguers and really paying attention to the details, those little things, they're not coincidence. Pete Alonso. I love watching Pete Alonso. The dude's a monster. I love his swing, his mechanics, but I love that he's very much a process guy. You're going to see that most of the best players that ever played are very in touch. What's up, Toby? Very in touch with the process part of everything, right? And so Alonso himself, he says it's a one day at a time thing, right? Win the small battles. He's interviewed saying this, and he focuses on a line drive. He is a line drive approach, and the dude has a rookie record for home runs in the big leagues. And there's this whole big boom and everybody trying to hit home runs. But here's the thing. The best hardly ever tried to hit home runs. Why are we trying to hit home runs as our approach if the best in the world that have ever played the game didn't have that approach? Why? Anyone? Any ideas? Why?
Because we're too focused on results instead of the process.
Not bad. Yeah. Right? So you have, and it's nothing against other coaches, but there are a lot of coaches that don't really have experience playing. You got to understand, at a high level, man, it is very, very difficult. And if we all want to go to a high level, and I know we're all not at a high level yet, but it's the same rules. They just kind of get magnified later. Is that thinking small? The farthest home runs I ever hit were with 2 strikes. Because why? Because I wasn't trying to hit a home run. I tried to put the bat on the ball, tried to think short to the ball, whatever that is, right? Feel of being short, being quick. Don't try to do too much. And you let your training, you let your physical stature, the type of guy you are you a big power guy? Are you strong enough to get the ball out of the park by getting under it, hit a fly ball that just runs out of room? A home run is pretty much that. It's just a ball in the air that runs out of room. If you stick with a simple approach, a mentality, and you understand those two kind of things, how they go together, you can play around with it and experiment and find what works for you to make you the most consistent and successful. Okay, guys, is that cool? What do we think? Good stuff?
Sounds good.
Pretty good stuff.
Aside from our little delay of game, What do you think of this kind of format where we're just kind of
Like it.
cool? We could do it from home. It's pretty cool. So we talked about the last part is confidence, right? Would you agree that kind of goes hand in hand with everything else? Is that if we aren't feeling confident at the plate or in anything that we're doing, that we're not going to be as successful. Do we agree?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
And so there's a lot of things out there, especially too, if you look online and you hear quotes and people talking about confidence is like, you got to earn confidence, which is true. I do think that you can gain more confidence from putting in the work and the preparation. It's definitely it's a real thing. Okay. But there's also a point where maybe you're kind of young, you're kind of new, so you haven't put in a lot of work. Does that mean that you can't be confident at the plate?
Nope.
Right? You're saying no, you can't be confident, or no, that you can be
Know
confident?
that you can't not be confident.
Yeah, right. And then can you also be like probably a peak performer in the world? If you listen to guys talk and player and athletes talk, can you be the most prepared and still have confidence go down in competition?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So when people say it, and again, it's not that they're wrong, but when people say, oh, well, preparation comes from preparation, that's just one element. But we got to understand in the present moment, there are things that are going on physically and mentally that are actually affecting our current confidence in that moment. Okay? Because to be honest, it is all about getting in the flow and being in the zone and getting in a green light. It's where we want to be. We want to get green and we want to stay green as long as possible. We're essentially in the present moment. Whereas we're not really affected by the past and we're not really thinking about the future too much. Right? Does that kind of make sense? Can you think about that? Like when you're going good, are you thinking about the past?
No.
No. Are you thinking about even the future?
Nope.
Right? I mean,
It's in the zone.
You're not thinking of anything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
sometimes
You're in
it's
the
like,
zone.
yeah, there's just nothing and you're just flowing, which is why they call it the flow, why they call it the zone. So, and this is partly where like meditation comes into play. It's learning to be able to not necessarily control your mind, but more about monitoring, watching how your mind works and the thoughts. And so most thoughts are going to be most thoughts are going to be in the past or in the future. You're either remembering something from the past or you're projecting something into the future. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And both of those sides, like let's say I'm the present right here, and this is the future, this is the past. Both of those sides are distracting me from right now. And right now, I need to perform. So anything out there doesn't really help me right now, which is why preparation, no matter how prepared you are, you can still not be, it doesn't matter even how good you are. You could be the best damn player on the field, like legitimately, not even a belief. It could be a fact. And not to toot my horn, but it was me at times. Okay. And it's going to be you guys at times too, where you're the best player on the field. It's not even a question, but that doesn't mean that you have the confidence right then. Okay. So would you agree or disagree?
Agree.
When your confidence is high, something before that positive had to happen. Or sorry, let me rephrase it. When something good happens, you get a hit, you smoke one in the gap, you hit a bomb, whatever, then you feel confident.
Yeah.
Or more confident.
Yeah.
Okay, it goes up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if something goes bad, you strike out a couple times, or you go 0 for 4 or something, make an error in the field, then your confidence goes down.
Mm-hmm.
It used
Yeah.
to.
May not be in the gutter, but it's at least not as high.
Yeah.
Okay. But yet it doesn't matter. You could have been so prepared, has nothing to do with it. Okay. So confidence, there's something that is happening in response to those events, to the strikeout, to the bad game, to the good hit. You are responding in a way, physically and mentally, that is making you feel confident. So confidence essentially is not a feeling. The feeling is the result of it. It's just the byproduct. You feel confident, but it's actually something a little bit more, and it's even more obvious. So there's three keys, three things shift when it's a positive thing that happened or a negative thing. And so remember this: B as in boy, F as in Ferrante, S. Okay. Body language, focus, and self-talk, which also sound very similar to what? Our 3-step release routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now think about this. Think about when you're going bad. Okay. You're struggling, you're not getting hits, you're making errors maybe. It's just a shit show. What's your body language like, Sterling? How are you
I'm
moving?
usually kind of
How are your shoulders? Like, are they back? Are they up? Like,
I'm usually like kind of tensed or like not like crunched, but like close together and like kind of awkward. Yeah.
Andre, body language when you're going bad.
Shoulders are down, not smiling. I'm weak. I feel weaker than before.
Good one. Caden?
Like my shoulders definitely like as high or as back as they
Mhm.
should be, and like kind of pissed.
Yeah. John?
I feel like I'll slouch and my head will just be like lower. I'll be more in a slouched position.
Yep. So what it is actually, and Sterling, you kind of said it, you all kind of said it, but is you get small. You get smaller. So, like if you're feeling sad, and we've all had days that we've had traumas in our life, there are times you just want to curl up in a ball and lay in your bed. You're not confident. You are more likely to be depressed, right? You're more likely to like overeat. You're more likely to like yada, yada, yada. That's a whole other story, right? But anxiety, depression, all these things. And I'm not a psychologist, but those are just kind of the things that like happen, right? When you just get small. Okay. So in nature, like if you think about like a gorilla, for example, gorillas could be just chilling, eating some bananas and whatever. And then if some kind of a threat came along, what does the gorilla do? They stand up and what do? They get big. They get big. They even say ways to fend off or fight off or scare off a bear, or like if you're out in the camping or something, put somebody on your shoulders or like a kid on your shoulders to appear bigger, right? So it's a natural instinct of survival is to get big. Okay, so this is actually a key to confidence. So let's go back again real quick. Sterling, when you're going good and you're in a green light, what is your body language like?
I'm usually straight up tall and like relaxed.
Beautiful. Andre?
Like a gorilla, man.
Hayden?
Yeah, I'm like Superman. It's like back, my shoulders are high and out.
You even move quick. Like you move quicker. You're more sure of yourself. How you're walking around, you got a little pep in your step. Okay. John?
I was gonna say that too. Like I almost feel more like athletic, and like even like faster to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's a good one. So like Andre, you feel slower, weaker. John, feel slow, or you feel faster, right? So it's okay. So this is not just a coincidence that everybody is saying, you guys are all agreeing the same, that when you're going bad, your body language is a certain way. When you're going good, your body language is a certain way. Now we'll move through kind of quick because we're getting late, but focus. Okay, so going bad, I won't go through everybody this time. Let's just do Andre. When you're going bad, what's your focus like? What are you thinking about?
On the outcome. So hitting wise, get a hit, don't strike out, being negative.
Exactly. Okay, good one. Let's just do one other person, maybe John. When you're going bad, what's your focus like? What are you focused on?
I mean, I'd say it's like less, or my focus isn't all the way there, just because like I'll be swinging at pitches that I'm not supposed to.
Sure. Exactly. Okay, very good. Okay, and then we'll go Sterling and Caden on self-talk. So when you're going bad, Sterling, what are you saying to yourself in terms of, are you doubting yourself? What do you got going on?
It's usually like putting a lot of pressure on myself to do good on the next play, to like redeem myself.
Yeah, good. And then we have, obviously, I mean, can I do this? Like even in pro ball, at the end of my career, it was like, I was struggling. There was personal stuff in my life going on that was just a big distraction. And I was in the point where I was like, dude, I was not the same player that I was. And it was totally like, can I even do that? Like, do I belong here? Like I just felt like I could no longer do it. But I was plenty good. Other things were getting in the way of myself being the player that I was, that I could have been. And so self-talk. So let's go back to Andre. What is your self-talk like when you're going good, if anything at all? You might not even say anything.
When I'm going really, really good, nothing at all. But good, like, yeah, telling myself like, let's go, you got this. Let's go, hit the ball on the barrel, stuff like that. Process oriented.
Exactly, process oriented. Okay, who do we go? Maybe John again, or maybe no, Caden again. Let's do positive. When you're in a green light, what is your self-talk like?
I'm probably saying nothing, honestly. Like I'm just like being ready to hit. Like there's no need for me to say anything when I'm in the zone.
Exactly. So you guys starting to see how this is kind of all piecing together, and those are the times that you're feeling confident. Your body language is good. When you're confident, your body language is big. When you're confident, your focus is on the process, if anything. But it's more than likely on the process. You're in the moment. You're like, well, this pitch is coming. Like I'm going to sit on fastball right here, right? That's kind of where your focus is at. Okay. And then your self-talk, if any, right? If there's any self-talk, it's going to be positive because you're confident, of course. Right? So we have to understand that there's this relationship. There's this communication of our mind and our bodies. And if we can put our minds in the right place and our bodies in the right place to be big, to focus, and to talk ourselves up, like it doesn't need to be out loud. You do it in your head. That you can instantly be confident in that moment. And it's kind of goes back to like this whole fake it till you make it. You ever hear that saying?
Yep.
But here's a question for you. How do you know when you're not faking it, that's not faking it? How do you know which is real? Does that make sense? If you're feeling not confident and you put yourself in good big body language, good, some focus on the process and positive self-talk, who says that that's fake? Nothing matters in the past. It's over. The future hasn't happened yet. So who says that that's fake? I don't think it's fake. You need to do whatever you need to do to get the job done in the moment. And when you do that and you succeed, then you got some fuel to carry on to the next. But as long as you know that confidence is in your hands at any time, it's huge. Because I was the same way. If I went good, I was confident. If I did bad, I wasn't confident. Like, it didn't matter. I was one of the most prepared guys on the field. Worked as hard as anybody off the field. but then my confidence could just shatter in a couple at bats or in an at bat. You have control over it. And so just understanding some simple psychology, simple like physiology and how the connection is, we can actually take control of that. Anything? Cool stuff. I thought it was pretty cool when I learned it the first time.
Yeah, same.
I was like, holy shit, did I miss out? Boy, did I miss the boat on that one. And you know, the funny thing is with the Rockies, we had a mental performance coach. And he came, or a mental skills coach, they called him. And he came and worked with me because I needed it. And actually, it's funny. I got to find there was an article in the newspaper back in the team that I played on. And they mentioned that I worked with a mental skills coach and I hit like over 300 for a month. And then made the midseason all-star team in the minors with the Rockies. And so it was pretty cool. I should go hunt that down because it didn't stick. You see, that's the one thing about it is that I took some of the skills. I was in it. I was focused. I was doing what he was telling me, and it worked. But then I kind of went back to my own way. Like I kind of forgot about them. And then I ended up reverting back to my old habits. And the key to this is to implement it, to understand it, to value it, knowing that it is huge in you, because a lot of you guys are all hard workers. Like I know you all still getting to know Sterling, but still I get a pretty good idea. Keaton, I know well. John, I know you fairly well. Getting to know you still. Andre, we've been talking for almost a couple of years, almost seems like, or at least over a year. You guys all work hard. But what will take you to the next level is going to be this stuff, because not a lot of people are here or are getting into the mental game right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is the edge. It is the separator. It's just hard to see it, but it's there. All right, guys. So if you got any questions, if you got anything, it could be related to anything. It doesn't have to be mental. If you have a hitting question, training question, now's the time. Of course, I mean, you can always communicate with me anytime, but I'm saying as far as for today is concerned. And of course, no worries if you don't. Anyone? Bueller? Nothing? Andre, you? Nothing?
I'm good, man. I don't know.
You sure? You always have questions, which I love. I want guys to have more questions. That's it, huh? John, what do you got? How about this? What is one thing we'll go through and then we'll be done. Sterling, what is one thing that kind of stands out to you that just pops into your head? You don't have to overthink it. Just what's one thing from today that pops into your mind as that stuck?
The positive mental talk.
Okay. You can really relate to, like, you can think back and be like,
Yeah.
like, oh man, yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself at times, right? Okay. Andre, what's one thing that kind of jumps out at you that you think is kind of got your attention?
Just be like a gorilla.
Gorilla.
Sure.
Get big. It's very interesting. It is really cool, even fascinating for me, because I get this concept, but to hear you guys say it is really cool. And it's not like I made it up. It's not this is all things that I pass on to you guys. But it's to hear you say, like, when you're going bad, that you're getting smaller, that you curl up. So if I had to chime in from listening to you guys, that's very fascinating to me, is that you all describe yourselves getting smaller. And it's not like I planted the idea in your head. You knew it from your own experience, which I think is pretty powerful. What about you, John? Did I ask you already? No, John.
No. I'd probably say like the body language. I just never knew how like big of a thing or big of a factor that was. And like in the future, I want to like try and catch myself whenever I'm like slouching or just not feeling it, just kind of trying to pick myself up like that.
Yes. Yeah, because it's, the other part of that is too is when you're in the box or even on the mound, because some of you pitch, is presenting yourself like this is your at bat. This is your box. This is your mound. And you're the gorilla. And you're saying, get the F out. Back
Oh
up.
yeah.
And when you do that, you announce your presence. It is seen. If it's not seen or noticed or thought about by other people, we see it, we feel it, right? It's an animal instinct. We all are very fluent in body language. We know what people are feeling and how they feel just simply by how they carry themselves. You never took a body language class, right?
No.
You all know how people feel and if somebody is like confident or not by how they walk around, by how they move, how they talk. Those are all things that we can pick up on. So if you see a guy in the box, he might be 0 for 3 on the day. But if the dude in the box is just like, if the dude in the box is just walking in like he owns the place, like you're kind of like, okay. It's like, I see this guy. You might not actually think about it specifically. You might now. But the guy puts good hacks on the swing. He maybe even has a bad at bat, but he walks back to the dugout like he owns the dugout. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
You own the place. It's not about being arrogant, but it's about this is my field. It's my box. You're on the base path. This is my base path. And having that mentality is going to help you kind of just naturally carry yourself around. I mean, it's a competition, man. We're playing to win. So, Caden, what's one thing for you?
Your approach is always gonna be different. It's really dependent on how you're feeling that day.
Yeah, learning to be able to adjust your approach and your mentality. Exactly, because your approach one day you might be right on. You might be like, I'm trying to hit line drives, and you're just hitting line drives all day, which is fine. You don't need to change that. Or your approach is line drives, but you're popping up. One day your approach is line drives and you're grounding out. So being able to just simply tweak that. Don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid to try and hit a hard, like backspin, like ground ball. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's to correct something, if you're getting too much barrel under the ball, right? Missing under, well, then you need to level the thing back out a little bit. You need to get it being on top a little bit more. Right. So that's why we do a lot of high tee. We do a lot of back of the cage stuff. And it simulates the high velo, working the hands high. But anyways, it's just good to be able to train yourself how to manipulate the ball in all directions, not just a perfect 25, 35 degree angle. Sterling, did we already do you? We already talked about you. Caden. Good. Well, hey guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. I thought it was fun aside from our little, the Zoom mishap in the middle. I think it went well. Do we have a vote for doing it again?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah,
For sure.
What do we think? Weekly or every other week?
I think every other week would be pretty cool.
yeah,
Maybe. So like twice a month?
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Andre, yeah?
Yeah, whatever works for everyone works for me.
Yeah. And then, of course, if questions pile up, because I imagine like there were a few other people that had signed up but just never joined, either they got busy or whatever. More people will be added to this. So maybe I'll keep it smaller. Like I won't open it up to 20, 30. Maybe I'll keep it like 10 people. And go from there, so we can actually, because it would take forever if I went through everybody. But I would like to have guys like participate. At least you feel like you're a part of the conversation. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you can just watch a pre-recorded video and take less time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
Cool.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, cool, man. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Go.
All right, guys. You take care. Be in touch. Let me know. You can always reach out to me. You got questions or anything or something you'd like to talk about, like in this setting. that we can go deeper on, hit me up. Okay. Otherwise, I'll plan maybe every other week, and I'll pick my own, I'll do some mental skills to kick it off with. And then if you have mechanical or just hitting stuff or just want to talk ball, we can do that.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Got it, man.
Goodbye.
Appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a good weekend.
So you too.
Sure.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.